In Genesis 1 and 2, we see that God created all things, including man. Nevertheless, when he created man was different from all of his other creation. When he made the sun and he made the moon, he spoke it into being. When he made the plants, he spoke them into being. When he made the animals, he spoke them into being. But in Genesis 2, we see a description of how God made man. In Genesis 2:7, we see that God made man from the dust of the ground. He formed him, and he breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. In this verse, we see the intimacy and the desire that God has for man. He formed man with his own hands. After God made man, he placed him in the Garden of Eden. In the midst of this garden were two trees. In the middle of the garden, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which leads to death. These two trees represent the two sources of this universe. The tree of life represents the God as life, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil represents Satan as death. God desired that we would take him as our life. As seen in Deuteronomy 30:19, he said, "I have set before you two choices, life and death, cursing and blessing. Therefore choose life." In verse 20, he says that he is our life. Even in the New Testament, in John 1:4, it says that in him was life, it's speaking of Christ. In John 10:10, Christ says, "I have come that you may have life and have it abundantly." In John 11:25, he says, "I am the resurrection and the life." John 14:6, he says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." God desired that we would take him as our life. Nevertheless, when man was facing this choice, he chose the wrong tree. Nevertheless, this does not stop God from pursuing after man. And he became a man, died on the cross for our sins, resurrected, and now as the Spirit, he desires to come and be our everything and our life. Every day we're faced with this choice. Every morning he is asking us, would you take me as your life?